You're not going to give me the whole story. Sure, you want to sit down in person and talk. I get it. And that's fine. But don't leave me wondering, especially for more than a few minutes, okay? Hey, we need to talk this afternoon. Like it's urgent. Okay, great. About what?
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Had a Facebook post by a friend recently that reminded me of one of my biggest pet peeves, okay? The Facebook post goes like this. Want to watch me totally spin out of control? Say, quote, we need to talk, unquote, with no more context, and then schedule something with me for a day or two later. Oh, boy. Want to pause here to remind you that we are sponsored by A-Now Software. Of course, A-Now Software is the ability to manage your entire appraisal office. That means you're keeping track of everything. Unpaid invoices, unfinished appraisals, volume, numbers, where you're going, calendars, geography. Everything's there, folks. Check them out. Go to anow.com/coach one more time. It's anow.com/coach. Okay, folks, one of my, Lee can attest to this. Lee is my great assistant there at the Appraiser Coach. She can attest to this. Do not send me a message that says, I got bad news, or start any sentence with, I got bad news. I hate it. Hate it. Why? Because I'm an anxious person. You're going to tell me you have bad news. I'm always going to go to the worst case scenario, right? I've got bad news. Could mean anything from my phone's not working right this morning to I've got cancer. I've got 2 days to live. I mean, in my mind, I'm going to go right to the I've got cancer. I've got 2 days to live side of that. Don't tell me you have bad news unless you really have bad news, which guess what, folks? I can't remember anything in the last 10 years of doing an appraisal. There's probably something out there, but running an appraisal business for 10 years, I can't think of hardly anything that would even fit into the category of serious enough to say, I got bad news. I don't care if the server's down. I don't care if we're done for the day. I don't care if you ran off the road and are in a snowdrift and have to be dug out. That to me is not bad news. That just is a circumstance. That just is something that has happened and we need to deal with it. Here's what happens, folks. When you say I have bad news or, hey, I need to talk, and you don't give me any more context than that, I'm going to go to the worst case scenario, aren't you? Somebody comes to you, your significant other, your partner, your kids, your business associates, your colleagues, your contractors, it doesn't matter. Anybody starts a sentence with, I need to talk to you. And that's all they say. We're going to go to the worst case scenario. That to me means you're going to quit tomorrow. You've had it, you're fed up, you're throwing in the towel, and you're leaving tomorrow. I'm always going to go to the worst case scenario when you start a sentence with, I have bad news, or we need to talk. Don't do that. Don't do that. Lee, I have to laugh at Lee a little bit. She knows I hate this. She knows I hate this, right? And Lee, bless your heart, usually when you say I have bad news, it's like so minor in my mind that it's like, okay. And I know it's major in your mind. She's wonderful. She wants to please her boss. She wants to do well. And she does. She's so great at what she does, right? So any little thing goes wrong and it's like, oh, I've got bad news. Now she's learned to not do it. But recently she says, I know you hate it when I start with I have bad news, but I don't know how else to put this. I have bad news. And then she told me what the news was. This was a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, okay. And I mean, we'll deal with it, right? It was like, something on the website had been deleted or something like that. And yeah, it was discouraging to hear, right? But it wasn't bad news. It just is. It's just a circumstance. I want to pause here and remind you we're sponsored by A-Now Software. Folks, I cannot say enough about A-Now Software. Absolutely love what A-Now does for appraisers. Why? Because I'll tell you, I had somebody reach out to me today, okay? And they said, Dustin, what do you do about X? I don't remember now what it was. And my answer was A-Now. And my answer to so many things is A-Now. right? How do you deal with such and such? How do you keep track of your unpaid invoices? How do you keep track of your clients? How do you keep track of where your appraisers are all going? How do you keep track of your calendar? And how do you keep track of your appraisals and the status of the appraisals? Folks, did you know there's a timeline in Now that you can set up, you can customize, so every step along the way you can put in there, and all your staff has to do is click. Okay, inspection done, comps chosen, comps entered, quality control done, adjustments done, appraisal out the door done. You can just click as you go. It is so wonderful to keep track of everything you do in Now software. Check them out. You can get a free demo and find out what they can do for your office just by going to anow.com/coach. It's ANOW, as in appraisersnow.com/coach. All right, folks, we are back. I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like it when one of my employees says I have bad news, or, hey, we need to talk. And then they just leave it vague, right? I hate that almost as bad as I hate what I think is termed vague booking, okay? Which means on Facebook, someone gets on and they say, oh, I had such a horrible day. Life is so horrible, period. And they leave it alone. You're never going to believe what happened to me today. I can't really talk about it, but it's such a horrible day, period. And then we're all supposed to jump on and feel sorry for him, but we don't even know what the hell is going on with him, right? Oh, it drives me nuts. Almost as much as it drives me nuts that someone comes and says, I have bad news. Folks, give some context, okay? Give some context. Instead of saying, we need to talk, what about a better solution? What about saying, hey, when you get some time, I'd love to chat with you about fill in the blank, okay? And how we can make it better and do something better, right? Do not just leave it hanging. I would much rather have some context. Yeah, you're not going to give me the whole story. Sure, you want to sit down in person and talk. I get it. And that's fine. But don't leave me wondering, especially for more than a few minutes, okay? Hey, we need to talk this afternoon. Like, it's urgent. Okay, great. About what? And then, of course, if I feel like I'm in middle school when I'm saying, oh, what's it about? You can tell me a little bit about it? I mean, give me some context here. Don't make me do that. I won't do that, by the way. But don't make me want to do that, okay? Don't tell me you have bad news and leave it at that. And don't even start a sentence with bad news because my heart is already in my throat. And then it's like, oh, well, something happened. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, get it. All right, let's deal with it, right? It happened. And I think most people are inclined to say I have bad news if it's something they feel they caused, right? I get that. I understand that. But it still just is. It still just is a situation that we have to deal with. And guess what? As business owners, we have to deal with situations all day long, every day. That's what we do. In order to keep our businesses running, we have to put out fires, and they're going to happen. And I don't care how streamlined your process is. I don't care how much you've listened to the Appraiser Coach over the years and you've made all these efficiencies and technology and human resources and all of this stuff, and you've got everything chink, chink, chink just running along. Guess what? The chain's going to come off. It's going to happen. And guess what? It's going to happen daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. It's going to happen. And sometimes it's going to happen big time. Sometimes things are going to fall down. I remember just a few months ago, I showed up to work and everything was off. The computers were off. The electricity was off. Everything was done. And the workers were outside the office, digging a hole. And I'm like, hey, did you know the electricity's off? Oh yeah, it'll be off for a couple days. Excuse me? A couple, what? You said a couple hours, right? No, a couple days. Okay, guess what? That's a situation. Is that bad news? No. It just is. It just is. I want to share with you an analogy. I've probably shared it here before, but it's so good. I think about it all the time. It is so good. It comes from the Buddha mindset, and it's a story about a man. I'm going to probably botch it, okay? But it's a great story. So botch it or not, I'm still going to share it. There's a man. He's got a farm, and he's got one son, and he's got a horse, right? Or something. Again, I'm going to botch it, but basically what happened was he's there and his horse runs off. Okay. And a neighbor comes by And he says, where's your horse? And he says, well, it ran off. And he goes, oh, that's bad. And the old farmer says, well, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. And he leaves it alone. Well, the next day, the horse comes back and brings 3 strays with him. And the neighbor comes over and says, wow, what great news. Look, now you had 1 horse, now you have 4. And he says, well, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. And the next day, his only son, goes out and tries to tame one of the new wild horses. He gets bucked off and breaks his leg and can't help around the farm anymore. And of course, the neighbor comes over and says, well, what bad news? Your only son can't work anymore. And he goes, well, the old farmer says, well, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. And the next day, the army comes through and they're drafting everybody to go off to war. And they skip over this boy because he's got a broken leg. And he can't fight in the war. And of course, the neighbor comes over and says, what great news. Your son didn't have to go off to war. And of course, the story ends with, well, whether it's good or whether it's bad, I don't know. Folks, when circumstances happen, things happen to us, whether it's good or bad, and it may be in your mind cut and dry, this is bad news, right? Is it? Or is it just a situation that you have to deal with? Regardless, please don't come. Please don't come to me and say, I have bad news. Okay? And don't say we need to talk. Okay? Teach your employees that to communicate is best to say, listen, I want to chat with you about, give some context. I try to do that with my employees. Okay? I've been tempted as well. It's easy, it's fast, it's efficient, if you will, to jump on the text real quick and say, hey, we really need to talk sometime when you get a chance, and leave it at that. Don't do it. What do you think is going, especially when it's coming from you, the boss, to the employee or the contractor? What do you think is going through their mind? We need to talk. And by the way, when it's on text, it's 10,000 times worse than if you say it in person, or if you say it even in audio, okay? Because, hey, we need to talk sometime is different than we need to talk. And guess what? We need to talk in text always comes across as we need to talk. Don't do that. Give some context, give some information that will allow us to be able to make good decisions moving forward. Speaking of good decisions moving forward, folks, I want to introduce you to a new product line that I have on my website. You're going to love this, folks. Over the years, I've done multiple webinars on various topics. These are things that are kind of the most frequently asked questions that appraisers have for me, the appraiser coach. They'll reach out to me and they'll talk to me about this, that, or the other. What I've done is I've tried to present webinars over the years that answer the both the why and the how. Okay, both the why and the how. Most of these are about an hour in length. Okay, so they're really easy to get through. They're a webinar. They also come with a PDF. Okay, with extra either the slides for sure, and sometimes extra tools as well. Okay, these are webinars like quality control, technology, human resources, virtual assistants, VAs. Okay, hiring, training, and managing a VA. AMCs and how you can actually be lucrative working for AMCs, the non-lender trade-off, what it takes to get into the non-lender work, alternative appraisals, desktops, review work, doing work in your bunny slippers and pajamas. All of those are on my website, folks, and they're $39 a piece. $39 a piece. By the way, you can get the whole lot of them for, let me just look here. It's called the Boot Camp. Okay, it's called the Boot Camp. If you look for the Boot Camp, you can get all of these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 webinars in the Boot Camp. Okay, awesome. There may actually be 12. I could be wrong. Oh, there's 12. There are 12 webinars. I'm missing a couple. Okay, the Boot Camp series, you can get all of them for only $350. Okay, right now they're on sale individually. 12 of them would cost you $39 each. Okay, you can get them all for $350. Go to my website, theappraisercoach.com/products. Again, it's theappraisercoach.com/products.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.